Industry Watch. My name is Bola Oba. We are starting a series that focuses on engaging the average middle class potential home builder or house builder in understanding the rudiments of what it entails to put up a structure that he or she could call home. A series that identifies the common errors that artisans make in the course of their jobs. A series that provides workable solutions not only to members of the artisan class, but indeed to an average upper middle class potential builder of homes who may need not to be destructively engaging, but productively and suggestively engaging with an artisan or a group of professionals working to help him or her translate a vision of a home or a house to reality.
Hello and good day. Welcome once again to ULDA Industry Watch. Today, we'll be taking you through the doings of the carpenter on site, what his roles are, and what is expected of the construction carpenter on a project construction site. We'll also be looking at a few common mistakes made by our carpenters on project sites, such that on your dream home, you could observe and re-inform them when you notice these mistakes. Thereafter, I will be taking you through what to look out for in employing a construction carpenter for that your dream home. Please do stay tuned. What do you think a construction carpenter does? And who is he? The carpenter is that very important subcontractor on your dream home. He starts up most of the work in a home, and most times is about the last person to leave the construction site. The carpenter is the one that shapes the home, in that he forms the molds upon which concrete placements are made in the homes to have a rigid structure. That being said, any mistakes made by the construction carpenter has ripple effects on every other party coming onto works in that dream home of yours. The construction carpenter is actively involved in setting out the building. Remember, the setting out procedure is one in which all parties involved in the construction comes together and projects the layout of the building from the architectural drawings and place them onto the project site, such that all corners, dimensions, angles, and view of the plan are represented on the project site. The construction carpenter also works on the form of every part of the building, be it from the foundation, the columns, beams, and slab of the building. Little do we know that it is the construction carpenter's fault most times when you see staircases and you climb on them, you feel aches from the strides taken on those steps, it is not the mason's fault, but the construction carpenter's fault. He is saddled with putting up your roofs, the ceilings, and a lot of other structural members within the building. In some cases, the construction carpenter deals with the windows, if you are using wooden panel windows, and related also to other types of windows, in that he builds the forms for the lintels of windows and doors across the home. The construction carpenter also installs doors into homes, especially the wooden doors. So you would agree with me that the construction carpenter is an important entity in your home. Also remember that the construction carpenter will prevent and protect the timber of your home from anti-termite action and rot in timber. As such, not making the roof structure collapse or wither in the course of time. The construction carpenter in other parts of the world is even better saddled with more responsibilities because of their use of wood framings to construct in other parts of the world. They are engulfed in more activities. But locally here in Nigeria, the construction carpenter is the main man in forming the whole structure of the building before the mason or the bricklayer, as we mostly call them here, comes to put partitions in form of block or brick walls to that structure. That is what the carpenter is about in construction. Now that we've gone through the roles of the construction carpenter, I will be taking on some mistakes that I've seen over time from our carpenters on site. The first of this mistake is from the foundation formwork. Most times, our carpenters deal with putting up formworks in the foundation the same way they do all over sites. This is very wrong because every site has got its own peculiarity. Dependent on the type of soil of that environment, the technique of formworking in the foundation will be different. Remember, we have different types of soil and property structure in Nigeria. If you come to places like Abule Egba, Mowe along the Lagos, Ibadan expressway environment where construction is really ongoing now, you will find clay and lateritic soil. These soils are firm, and during excavation they stand on their own. As such, formworks in such areas are not too tedious to do. But you will agree with me that soils that are sandy, like our island-based properties, Ajah, Lekki, and the likes, has loose soils because they are sandy. They tend to not be firm, they are loose, and they flow. Excavation in such areas needs for our construction carpenters to shore the soil away. They need to do little forms of shoring for such areas, such that their formworks are guarded off and the soil doesn't fills back into such structures, hereby holding on as retainers for them. Before I go on, for those that don't understand the meaning of formwork and shoring, formwork are shutters used to form casings ready for placement of concrete and reinforcement to form structural members in the building. They could be in forms of timber shutters, steel shutters, and other types of shutters available in the system today. Shoring are the retainers embedded into parts of the building to hold back structures like the excavations and other members of the building structure not to fall back into areas of play. Excavation is the removal of soil from the earth such that the foundations of the building can be placed in such areas, be they foundations for structural members or foundations for drainages, as the case might be. Members of the building structure are columns, beams, slabs, foundation footings, ground beams, etc. that are used in the construction per se. The second mistake that I have noticed over time are the placement of formwork for columns. Now, columns are the piers in the building, running straight up vertically to receive the beams and eventually the slab of the building. In some cases, if it is not an elevated structure, being a bungalow, the column goes straight to receive either the roof beams or the wall plates from the roof. A big mistake that I have noticed across time is the use of battens onto the column formwork. Battens most times are used sparingly onto the column vertical boards that are put in place. But battens should be more on the lower parts of the column than the other areas of that vertical column. Remember, there is more pressure on the base of the column. As such, during placement of concrete into the formwork of the column, the pressure at the base gets so enormous that bursts open most at times and ruptures the column. So, battens at such areas should be spaced not more than 300 millimeters, about a foot interval, for a third of the section of the length of the column. The other two-thirds can be spaced as usual at between 450 millimeters to 600 millimeters spacing, as the case might be. Remember, braces in forms of support should also be placed to ensure the verticality of the column. Secondly, as regards the column, most carpenters don't understand how to plumb, make straight the columns. Most times on site, I have noticed carpenters just using the straight edge, which is called the range, and the spirit level, which of course is known as the plumb, to check if the columns are straight. The best way to check if your formwork to columns are straight is to use the plumb ball. This is a line placed on the formwork and having a plumb ball stringing down from it. Remember, gravity makes straight any line. So the measurements from the top end where these strings are placed and the lower bits where the plumb ball is hanging from should be same, such that if you have 6-inch spacing at the top, it must exactly be 6-inch spacing by the base near to the plumb ball. Otherwise, that column isn't straight. It is a quick check for anyone to know if your column is straight or not. Leaving that, progressing to the beams and slabs. Most times, from the circular way that the local carpenters use materials, we will see that the runners, which actually are joists for the slabs of the building, spacings thereon are not done rightly. Most times, the spacings taken are irregular, but these spacings, if you are using bamboos as props and the 1-inch boards as the sheets for the base, spacings for your joists should never be more than 2 feet, 600 millimeters. But remember, there are 2 styles of placing formworks, as I said earlier. The first type is the conventional one, using the 1-inch boards and bamboos. The second type is using marine plywood sheets and joists with ledgers. If you are using the joists and the ledgers and the plywood sheets, it is important to note that spacings for your joists must be 450 millimeters, about 1.5 feet. Whilst the spacings for the ledgers, which are those members carrying the joists under the slab, should be spanned at 1.8 meters, 6 feet interval. The props, of course, which are now metal or aluminum adjustable props, should be spaced at 900 to 1.2 meters apart. Those using the bamboos should ensure that their spacings for the bamboos are not more than 600 millimeters. The diagrams that follow will show you what is meant by the joists, the ledger, the props, and the bamboo system. Another point to note from years gone by of experience is the roof falls. Most carpenters don't understand how to read roof plans. If they understand the readings of roof plans, they will know how to project falls of the building, the roof, and where to place gutters and ridges. the architect would have calculated the span of such falls and estimated the collection of rainwater of such areas and advised on the gutter systems to use. Most times, our carpenters, because they can't read these drawings, they create problems for the roof covering installers who will come to place on them by not giving adequate width for the gutters in place. So, ensure that your construction carpenter employed understands how to interpret the drawings from your architect. These are some mistakes that I have noticed over time. I hope they have been useful. Now to the last stage of this episode. What to look out for in employing a construction carpenter subcontractor for that dream home of yours. Of course, as before on other trades discussed, certification. What certification does that carpenter hold? Is that carpenter one that has been trained by a formal institute, or did he or she get trained on the street? Certification is key because you would understand that the person you are entrusting that your dream home that you have labored so much for is educated and competent in construction carpentry. Secondly, estimation. Can that carpenter that you are about to employ estimate properly? Why not give that construction carpenter a copy of your drawing, sit with him and let him evaluate the estimate of materials that he or she would need for that construction. Third, equipment and tools. Is that construction carpenter that is about to commence your project, is it versed in modern equipment? The use of the leveling instrument is very, very important. If not available, can you use other methods of taking levels, be it the use of the water level or the spirit level and the straight edge? Transferring levels on site is one of the greatest jobs that a carpenter would have to render. Fourthly, can he or she interpret drawings? If that carpenter cannot translate your drawing into reality, don't employ him or her, as competence issues are at stake. Finally, communication skills. Can that carpenter advise you as to what to expect from your site? Seeing the type of soil from experience, check from discussions, engage in professional discussions, the jobs he or she has done in the past. Does he or she have experience on the type of terrain that your would-be home is to be built? Has he done a similar project in the past? Don't give a carpenter that has not done a multi-story structure a multi-story assignment. Be careful who to engage. Remember, cost is not always the driving factor in employing that carpenter. The cheaper the cost, the bigger your loss most of the times. Remember, we are talking about your home. Thank you for engaging us on another episode of ULDA Industry Watch. I hope this has been very useful. If you have missed any of the previous episodes that we have had, please do catch up on our YouTube dedicated channel and also look out for more episodes to come. Like our channel and please subscribe. Thank you.
I hope you have enjoyed today's episode of the series. Look forward to another episode next week. Thank you.